All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Justin Gibbons Show. We are here again with some more good content for you. I got both of my co-hosts again, David Roy, Brandon Scott, and we got some, valuable stuff for you. David, go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself. After that, Brandon, and then we're going to kick it off.
Yeah, sure. So, just a little bit about me. I got my first sales job, I believe, when I was 21, 22 years old. By the way, from New Orleans. Well, I lived in LaPlace a little bit. That's his second home. Yeah. We kind of started kicking it back in the day. But yeah, I went to a school called John Curtis, which, for those of you that don't know, right there in River Ridge. It taught me a lot of really cool core values. That's how I met this guy, and I learned how to really, get that competitive edge. And I think the biggest thing that I learned from Curtis was how to win, man, and how to work hard. Growing up, you would see these other schools where they would do 2-a-days and and all of those things. And we're like, man, we got 3-a-days,
man.
And you learn what you were worth. You learn to put in the work, and that's why I kind of fell in love with business. I fell in love with sales because it was almost like a team sport. It was super competitive for me, young, and I learned so much. So I started working with Cutco. I did well. We sold close to, in the last 7 years, I sold. Me and my team sold about $6.5 million in knife sales, and I actually just got offered a position to be a CEO for a business called 1-800-REPAIRS. And you can check us out on our website. It's 1-800-REPAIRS.com. We're a repairs and facilitation service, and we're really excited about helping really just build a community in New Orleans. So how about you, Brandon?
Well, I'm Brandon Scott, and I also went to John Curtis as well. That's like Dave said. That's where we met at, pretty much linked up, and we did learn a lot of things about winning. Like that was really the main thing that school was built off of, was just winning and working for it. Like nothing is given to you. Okay, we the best. We went undefeated for 3, 4, 5 seasons. Still compete every single day like somebody's on your back. So when Hurricane Katrina happened, I ended up going to Texas. I wasn't able to graduate from John Curtis, but that foundation of just winning stuck with me. When I got there, I became an instant leader of the school.
Wow.
First day of basketball practice, on the varsity team, and instant leader. Football, instant leader. So that pretty much stuck with me, and it still sticks with me to today. And I'm a teacher now, so that's what I pretty much try to put into my kids. Man, winning is very important, but you got to put the work in. Winning feels great, but the process to it is hard. It's difficult. You're going to have your scripts, you're going to have your proofs, you're going to fall. But you got to keep on pushing forward and keep winning. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm teaching them. I'm trying to instill that into my kids because I know what it did for me, and it made me, I feel like I came out pretty good. So I'm trying to put that into those kids there.
I think we all feel like it came out pretty good.
Yeah, it filled out pretty well too. I'm Justin Gibbons. I went to John Curtis also.
He's left out of there.
Yeah, I really didn't go to John Curtis, but I did own a lot of businesses throughout my lifetime. Started off with my family's business, and I've pretty much, in one way or another, been somewhere between a leader and a follower, a little bit of both. And I've learned valuable lessons throughout life, especially with business, and still don't know how to file taxes, though, I'm going to tell you that. But I think I got some good value I can add, and really, I think all of us have very good content we can add. Brandon from his perspective, David from yours, and also from mine. And we just want to give you all of our accumulated knowledge. We want to be your video mentors in a way. So.
Yep. We have some really, really, really good topics to discuss today, and some of them are really dear to my heart. And I really want to just kind of get started by talking about something that I think is a huge epidemic in the United States and all over the world. Whether it's coffee, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's porn, whether it's no matter what it is, I want to talk about addiction. First and foremost, and I'm pretty sure all of us, or anybody really watching, has something that they're addicted to. It could be something as simple as just, before you go to bed, always looking at your phone. Yeah. I think that could be an addiction.
90% of America has that addiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a mental health issue now, truthfully.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with that. You're always Elon Musk was talking about that. You're a part. We're already in AI, right?
Yeah, integrating with it.
That cell phone is a part of us.
It just isn't in us yet, though. It's external, but it's an external application that we need. It's almost, if you don't have your phone, it feels like you've lost something, like you've lost, your best friend, your contact with the world. If you don't have your phone, you're like, what the fuck am I going to do?
Right.
I can definitely say at least about 90% of the world. Once you lose that phone, it's like, stop everything. What's going on? Where's my phone?
You know, to even come back on that
You think
is,
somebody lost a kid.
I think it was you the other day. I seen something on whether it's Facebook. It might have been you, it might have been somebody else. But this is definitely something you would say, so I'm gonna give you credit. You gotta learn how to like just love yourself and spend time with yourself and just really just. He's like, that's not me. But
Probably was.
Sounds like
it doesn't sound like him.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was just like one of those things where when you don't have that phone, there's so many times, by the way, like throughout the week where I put my phone on the airplane mode and I don't look at anything because everything's such a distraction nowadays. It's like you never have time to really just sit there and be like, what do these thoughts mean? Like, what is my purpose? What is my vision? And
turning off your phone is almost like a state of meditation.
yeah, I agree.
It is.
I agree. So I want to kind of talk to you about a story. So I was in San Francisco, and I'm in like the Silicon Valley type of area, right? And nobody really smokes cigarettes out there, and I've smoked cigarettes for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And we're at this mastermind with all these business people. And I get into this taxi, and there's this young lady, her name's Chelsea, I won't say her last name, and she works with Cutco. And she's like sitting to the left of me, and it's me and my boy Jeremy Shake, right? And we had just did like this full immersion, and she tells me something that changed my life forever. She's like, Dave, like you're so sharp, you're so smart, I would love to pick your brain, but damn, I can't sit by you in this taxi, you smell like cigarettes. And nobody ever told me that before. And it was like my stomach like sank, right? And I was like, holy shit, like, did you just say that to me? And the next day, we had this meeting, and I knew what was going to come up. And, you know, like, I was afraid of it. I was like, I'm going to try to quit smoking cigarettes. Holy shit. And I had tried quitting before, but nothing ever worked. I was addicted. And I was not only addicted to the nicotine, but I was addicted to the habits, right?
The hand-to-mouth addiction.
And one of the things that I realized is I quit Adderall full throttle, like with no help, and I quit cigarettes. That day, the guy asked me, his name was Ben, and he took my pack of cigarettes and he said something very simple to me. He said, Dave, I want you to close your eyes. And I said, okay. And I closed my eyes, and he made me go through this like visualization. And as I went through this visualization, he's like, I want you to ask yourself one question. And I was like, what was that? And he goes, does your king smoke cigarettes? And I was like, what? He goes, I want you to look at yourself as a king. And I want you to just think about what you have to do to become that king. And does your king smoke cigarettes? And I gave him my fucking pack of cigarettes. And he put it in the trash can. And every single person in that room wrote a letter to me about who I needed to become my future king. And it was the most powerful thing of all time. And the lesson I learned from that is that no matter what you're addicted to, okay? If you have a why that's bigger than yourself, if you could foresee who you need to become way down the road, you don't have withdrawals. Because you're so empowered to who you need to become that the addiction doesn't even exist. It's all fake.
Let me add in on that. It's a sign of weakness, for sure.
Yeah.
Whenever I go into a business meeting and I see people that they have problems or addictions that I can just honestly just see right off the bat, I look at it as weakness.
Yeah.
You couldn't even hide it. You couldn't even hide it during the meeting.
Oh my God, dude. We all consider ourselves to be connectors. Right? And I'll never forget, I was talking to a person, we used to call it a personal consultation. And so I'm talking to this person and I'm figuring out their goals. And I take pride on being present and having a high energy state. And I remember this person telling me something so deep, and all I wanted was a cigarette. And I was like, how selfish of me to think about a cigarette when this person is telling me their life.
Right.
That's
you know?
Rough. That's rough.
And I was just like, who am I?
But if you've ever smoked cigarettes, you probably had it happen to you.
Exactly.
And you can't be present.
Right.
You can't be present.
It's like even as much as you want to be.
It's like needing to pee while you're trying to do
exactly.
something.
When whatever's going on and you're just missing full throttle on it. And you know you want to be there, but also that addictive just wants you to go to it, and that's pulling you way harder. So now you're at a battle like, man, I want to be here, but I gotta go. I gotta go do this. I gotta go do that. I gotta go smoke this cigarette. I gotta go do whatever it might be that's pulling me.
And it's really rough. Like if you're younger, it's not so bad, but it's really rough when you see like an older person that has an addictive, like say cigarettes. Like you're 40 or 50 years old, and let's say, especially if you're like in the business arena, and you haven't conquered this yet. You mean to tell me you run a business, you make money, you've done all these things, but you can't conquer this, small habit compared to major habits?
Yeah.
And it's definitely a weakness. It's definitely, I see weakness on people whenever I see them, especially older people smoke. Now, younger people I can kind of understand because you're young, you're dumb, you make mistakes. If you don't quit, then eventually I will see it as weakness.
Yeah, Tony Robbins always talks about like the 6 human needs. I don't know if you ever really looked into that, but one of them is certainty and significance. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because cigarettes or addiction gives both, right? So, for example, let's say you are doing a podcast, right? And it's your time to talk, and you haven't really had a lot of practice talking in front of a camera, or maybe hypothetically it's not a podcast, maybe it's your public speaking. Well, everybody has little things that they do to make them certainty. So, for example, let's say you're talking, and your thing is to put your hands like this. That's a sign of certainty, right? When you need to connect with somebody and you want to go outside, you getting those breaths, you smoking that cigarette gives you certainty.
Right.
And people love to be certain because we all know being uncomfortable, although it leads to great things, nobody really wants to be uncomfortable.
Right.
So they keep doing these things that like they're used to, right? Plus it gives them significance as well.
Agreed.
I was addicted to cigarettes too, so I know exactly, and I seen the weakness in myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking here. I remember one day I was at a political rally, and I'm chatting up everyone in the room, but eventually, after a couple of drinks, I got to go outside and smoke that cigarette.
Sure.
And I'm outside, I'm thinking like, wow, I'm weak. Now I got to go to my car. I got to spray cologne on me so people don't smell my weakness. Mm-hmm. I was definitely knowledgeable about the smell because if you've ever not smoked, that smell carries. Right, and usually cologne don't even kill it all the way, but it masks it slightly.
Yeah. We justify it. That's what we're all salespeople. We try to justify it.
Right. And my excuse used to be to myself, it's a nootropic, which it is. It's like caffeine. It makes your brain move faster, think faster. I would sit in my, like when I was coming up with my business ideas or working on a business deal or something like that, I would sit in my, well not sit, but pace in my kitchen, and I would smoke cigarettes and drink wine. And I would come up with some of the best ideas doing that. And I'd be like, I can't quit because, that's my mode.
That's how it was with Adderall.
I smoke 10 cigarettes, I drink a bottle of wine, and tomorrow I'm going to kill it. I'm going to make, 20 grand,
Yeah.
But I knew also weakness, killing myself. And then I'm showing the world that I'm masochistic. I'm inflicting pain upon myself. It's no different than beating yourself in public.
Right? Yeah. To kind of and I think our next topic really, really resonates with this because if you think about cigarettes, it's a sign of building rapport. Think about how I started smoking cigarettes back in the day. My friend Matt Harris, in order for us to, it was our time to hang out. That was that rapport time, right? We would go smoke. It was social. We would go smoke cigarettes. We would go to the levee or whatever it was, the canal bank, right? Mm-hmm. And that was our time to talk. And it was, especially in the South, it's super, that's how we do it. It's social. So we want to kind of go over a few things on how to build rapport, right, at its fullest. And I think about the story on how I met you. Before you even knew, my number one core value was loyalty. And I came in here for my birthday. You actually gave me the invite. Mm-hmm. And immediately when I walked in this house, there was this instant connection with you where I was like, I felt at home. And I was like, man, this is a good guy. You opened up your house like it was just this hospitality that was very southern, very, very comforting. And I was like, man, this is the guy I can hang out with. And you were really easy at building a connection with me. What are some tips that you can give the audience to building relationships and building rapport with people?
The main thing is to be someone's equal. A lot of people, the reason why they mess up with making rapport is they either have low self-esteem, and they put themselves under, or they think too much, too egotistical, and they put themselves above. And the thing is to find whoever your counterpart is that you're trying to make a deal with, or you're trying to form a rapport with, and you meet them at their level. It's really not hard. The first thing, and we talk about body language, is you mirror body language.
Yeah, that's
same thing.
most important. Yeah.
Right. Same thing with like a woman. So you will notice who's actually in charge in a room because everyone will subconsciously start to mirror their body language. The alpha male will be mirrored, and it just happens. And another thing, we'll talk about females, for instance. I'll go a little bit off the deep end here, but say like a woman. If you put more than one women in a dorm or in a place where they live together, their cycles will match up. It's because if the head woman is off duty, like she can't have kids, she's not able to mate, it takes all the beta females off too. That's why they follow her cycle. So if she's not in the game, no one's in the game. You know, and it's the same thing with males and body language. All this has to do with nature's way of proving how things go. Now, if you can just match someone's though, it creates a rapport. And one other thing I'm going to talk about that we talked about earlier was if you want to find a good friend, you have to have someone that you are in a friendly competition with. You compete with each other to be better, but not compete against each other to destroy each other. They have to be among, let's say, equal quality as you, and you have to have nothing to gain from each other. Like, you don't want to steal anything from him, he doesn't want to steal anything from you, he doesn't want your girlfriend, he doesn't want your life, he doesn't want your job, and you feel the same way about him. That way you never have to worry about being stabbed, and he never has to worry about stabbing. You know?
So I definitely want to touch on building rapport, and I'm going to look at it from a slightly different angle. Like, I agree with y'all having the mirror, the head person in charge. I feel like rapport, when you're trying to build rapport with somebody, you got to definitely understand your audience.
Yeah.
Because I look at it as me being a teacher, I have an actual PE class, and I have that type of rapport with those kids when I'm in the PE class. But then when I'm in the classroom, I have to present a different part of me because now we're not in a room where we can run around. It's more structured here. And then when I'm also a coach, so on the field, it's a whole different report. Depending on your environment, I feel like that's when you got to present what you're trying to, your expectations. Because like a coach on the actual field and a coach in the classroom is two different people.
Yep.
Because on the field or on the court or whatever sport they're coaching, they're going to have a little bit more aggression, a little bit more
it's business time.
It's business time. Like, we get into it. Like, there's no plan, there's no games. You got to get to, we got to learn this. There's no games. Maybe in the classroom you kind of lay back a little bit. Yeah, I care about you. What's going on with you? Let me get more of an understanding what's going on.
We're in the planning room.
Yeah, we're in the planning room. I feel like it's two different. You just got to understand your environment, understand your audience, and that's how you should pretty much use your way to try to build that rapport.
I dealt a lot with that, man, as a young business owner where, in the beginning when I was in my 20s, early 20s, where I would party with my representatives, right? And they never understood the difference between, leader Dave and partying with reps Dave. It was because I let my guard down a little bit, and it was something I really had to learn. So we have this concept, and it's really interesting that you brought that up. I want you to imagine you're at a window, right? You're at the window, the door window. You're at your car, and we call it Jahari's window. And everybody, and that's why body language is so important, because when you start to speak with somebody, most people, in the beginning, they're defensive, right?
Closed off.
They're closed off. You see their arms like this, that's closed off.
Correct.
And you never want to talk to anybody when they're closed off. I want you to imagine, as you're building rapport with somebody, that you have to roll down the window first. And you have to listen. See, most people, when they're trying to build rapport, they try to completely come at it with like an add value. This is what I can offer. But they don't listen. Listening is when the body language goes from this to this.
To open.
To open.
Open to suggestion.
Yeah, and if you think about it, we're super primal, right? We are primal. So back in the day, like if you look at monkeys, right? If you look at monkeys, anytime they're defensive, what do?
Right.
They do this.
Right.
The scientifics behind that is they protect all their organs.
Right.
That's why somebody does this.
Right.
And even though you don't really notice it, that's what you're doing.
Right.
So what we used to do, right, when I was in sales, is, let's say I'm running an interview, okay? And I would always, there's this thing, I always influence the influencer, right? So I scan my room, and I'm like, who's the most influential person in this room? Because if I could sell him, everybody would follow. If I could sell her, every single person will follow. So when I'm doing sales calls, that's why you focus on your top person first, because if you could name drop that one person, now everybody's going to follow that person, because when it's all keeping up with Miss Jones. Right? So the influencer was so funny to me, because he's the alpha or she's the alpha, and they're kind of sitting like this. And I would go up to them, and their arms would be like this, and I would hand them a pen. And when I handed them the pen, it forced their arms to do from this to this. Yeah. And I would call on them intentionally, and when I would cross their arms, all of their defense mechanisms would drop. And then you could see the whole audience, all of theirs would drop. So you always influence the influencer, and that's a big part of also building rapport.
Right, I agree with that. And I have a middle school class, and middle school is pretty much a tough age for mostly everybody. You're going through so many changes. Yeah. So in our middle school, we have the cool kids, and my whole point, I know we have some troublemakers. We have the kids who probably not as popular. But I'm I always go to, like you said, the influencer. I go to the most popular kids. Let me go to y'all. And if I can get y'all mind right, and I put it into their head, I'm like, do y'all not realize people watch y'all? And whatever y'all do, everybody else would do. And
you empower them, because that's how you develop leaders.
Yes, exactly.
That's how you develop leaders.
And that's my whole point about, I'm trying to develop y'all into a leader, which y'all already naturally have. Because y'all have already been granted this title through y'all.
You don't even know it.
You don't even realize it, but y'all been granted this title. Everybody follows you, so that's what I'm trying to put into you guys here, you're influencing the influencer.
It reminds me of this book, Brandon, man, you're so spot on, dude, and it's John Maxwell, and it's the 21 Laws of Leadership. I recommend that book to anybody. But leaders always attract other leaders.
Very true.
We were talking a little bit earlier, Justin, about the ability to adapt, right, and just being adaptive with our lives, but in general with people. And I was talking to you about this too, you look at somebody like Joe Rogan, right? And I really like this, or Tim Ferriss, a good person that's a good interviewer. And you're interviewing Dale Earnhardt. Then the next day you're interviewing Mike Tyson. And the next day you're interviewing Elon Musk, right? And these are completely different spectrums of personality. But, you got Dale Earnhardt, who's a really Christian guy, right? He's got those country old values, right? You're not going to smoke or do anything crazy on that podcast. And then you have Elon Musk, who's super scientific and smart and genius, and he was able to be in enough reports. I mean, gosh, spoke with Joe Rogan.
Right.
And then the next one you have Mike Tyson, who
he's done everything.
He's done everything, right? And his ability to be curious, his ability to have empathy, and his ability to not judge based on who those people were is fascinating to me, because that's building rapport.
And he effortlessly interviews them, and you could watch one to the next, and he just does it smoothly. It's a smooth transition.
True.
I'm just going to say this for our salesmen out there who are, if you're looking for some information here, some value, if you want someone to like you, you talk about them, and the conversation will last forever. You just talk about them. Now, if you're trying to sell something, just say you're a used car salesman. You already got a bad rep, all right? When you introduce yourself, you don't say, hello, I'm the salesman. And I said, no, I used to be a football coach. I do this for money, but, my inspiration is coaching. I'm just like you. You have to get down to something that has a good image in someone's mind. Something that you used to do. Oh, man, I used to actually work on refrigerators. I do this now because the money's good, but I'm a refrigerator repairman if you really want to get down to it.
You tell that story, one of my teachers, college professors, he said he actually got his job when he got his interview. On his resume, he had that he did something. He did roofing. He did all these other things around the house. And he said, literally, when I was getting interviewed by this dean, this doctor, this whatever, we literally talked about roofing and construction and everything like that. And it's oh, by the way, you got the job.
Because it makes you, it normalizes you,
Yeah.
It makes you, and another thing is you want to speak to your customers or your clients or whoever you're trying to sell like you would your normal friend. Hey man, what's going on? How you doing?
Yeah.
Man, how you been today? It's good to see you. So what you been up to?
See how he did the tap, by the way? So isn't that interesting? The tap is by the way, you have to be very specific, and the way we do that in the United States is different than what they do it in China or in the Middle East, right? Because I was at the mall, I'm sorry, but this is too good to pass up. So I'm at the mall, and it's normal for us, it's like a quick hug. Right. When you do something like that extra tap, right? So I do that, and I don't know if you know this, but when somebody double taps, right, that just means it's too much touch, right? So we're talking to this guy from the Middle East, and I'm at the mall, and I'm trying to figure out what store to go to. I'm trying to look for some property managers, and so I shake his hand, and he double taps me. and it was a sign. He was like, too much touch. So that's another part of building rapport. Is you have to know your audience.
Yes.
You have to respect their cultural, like where they're from too.
Right.
The couple, I was still right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
See, the tap, it breaks the ice.
Yeah.
That's what it does. But you don't want to overdo it because you don't want to imply affection.
Correct.
You just
Right.
want to imply friendship. Okay?
Right.
And you speak to whoever you're trying to deal with like they're your old friend from back then. Man, what you been up to? It ain't about the sale at first. The sale will come naturally. Whatever you do, another thing that I see a lot of people do is they want to hurry up and get the job done. However fast you speak, you need to slow that down in half. Bring it down, slow it down, make it seductive. If you ever notice the greatest voices when you listen to audiobooks, they're nice, they're dark, they're slow, they're seductive. And that keeps your interest the whole time.
You see Morgan Freeman.
Keith Sweat Hotel.
Yeah. I want to bring up something that's really important for entrepreneurs, and it's really like a give or take. I want to talk about the difference between really like burning your bridges and keeping your bridges up.
Great topic.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Brandon?
I'll touch on that one first, man. I always believe that you, for one, should never burn any type of bridge that you might have to eventually walk back across one day. Like, yes, you may have created an enemy. Y'all may be enemies at some point. But you always try to at least leave room just in case that opportunity may come back around for you to make things work. Like me and Dave, for instance.
Yeah.
Me and him were best friends. Like this was like my brother almost. Like I said, I was always in the class, and Hurricane Katrina came in. We probably didn't speak, probably didn't see each other for years. You know, but it was never like, well, forget Dave, whatever. It is what it is. He moved on, I moved on, whatever. We in two different parts of our lives now. It wasn't like that. It was like, so once we saw each other, once we got back in contact, it like that bridge was still there.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like still opportunities. If I wanted, like when I moved back to New Orleans, he offered me a position to come work with Cutco.
Yep.
I remember coming to the office and everything.
Yep.
So you never want to burn bridges that you may eventually have to cross over, even if it's your enemy, because you might have to cross back over that bridge. That enemy may have what you need to get to where you're trying to get to in life. However, at the same time, it's some bridges that are not meant for us to cross back over.
Now let me jump on that topic if I can, if I may. And if you want to jump back on it after me, that's fine.
You got it. Go ahead.
If you're going to burn bridges, burn them on your terms, for sure. Brandon said that there are necessary bridges to burn. I believe in this a lot. So anyone who's holding you back, you do need to burn that bridge. But you want to burn it on your terms. That way you allow yourself a pathway back. So I wouldn't destroy the whole bridge, but I would remove a few, boards, let's say. So, if you want to later on, you can add a couple of boards, or if they do, they can add a couple and you can allow them to pass through,
I agree, and I don't mean to cut you off, but because at some point, like, when you wanted to burn that bridge, that was at one point in time in your life.
Right. And people grow up.
And people grow up, things change, life happens.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure it's many people had the greatest enemy that's now their business partner.
That's very true. A lot of people have had enemies that have become their friends. I've had several of them. Because I'm open-minded, Now, I wouldn't say trust them with everything, but that doesn't mean that you can't both gain. And an old term from, I believe it's The Art of War, is my enemy's enemy is my friend, correct?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wonderful book. I can use this as a personal reference. When I was in college, fraternities, I'm in a fraternity, and it was us and another Divine Nine fraternity, and like we wasn't the greatest friends because it was like the competition. Who is the best organization on this campus?
Sure.
And so like we never ever thought about ever doing anything together, ever doing a joint party, a joint event, none of that, nothing to make money together. Then it kind of came to a point. It was like, even though we don't really see eye to eye with this other organization, it might behoove us to actually entertain this idea. And we entertained it, and it came out to be a success. Granted, we didn't do it again, but it was like at that point in time,
it worked.
It was the right decision to do.
I'm gonna go a different angle from both of y'all. I agree.
Look, before you jump in, let me just add one more thing. Sorry.
No, don't be.
But all this being said, you cannot be afraid to burn bridges. It is absolutely necessary to know when to cut someone off, because there are people who are toxic in your life. Everyone has toxic people in your life, and they can drag you down. Bad luck people bring bad luck. When you have those friends that they're always a victim, they can't never get up because someone's holding them down, or their whole life's some sob story, you need to stay away. Nothing ever works out for them. It may be everyone else's fault to them, but the truth is, it's that character, it's that person, and you absolutely need to stay away from people who are bad luck people and who are victim people. Stay away from victims and stay away from bad luck people.
I'm gonna disagree with you slightly.
Go ahead. I like being in the middle. I'm in the middle from this point on.
Just slightly. We said this the other day. Like, sometimes if you are the smartest person in your circle and everybody else obviously not adding to your life, then that bridge may need to be up not for your benefit, but for that person's benefit. Like, what you have, you can possibly.
But now that they have the possibility to drag you down.
Everybody has a possibility to drag you down, no matter who they are, no matter how good they look.
But we're playing the odds here. So
hey, the odds are always 50-50.
No.
The odds are always 50-50.
By the way, this network versus net worth conversation, this is going to be a big debate. I'm gonna play Jerry Springer here, and I'm gonna just do this, and I'm gonna take it from the business side.
Okay.
All right, and I'm gonna talk about burning the bridges. So I'm 23 at the time, maybe 24, and long story short, I made $5,000 in a very short period of time, but my car went to like this lake, okay, and I completely totaled my car. Like, it was like.
What were you doing?
Listen, it was storming and a reindeer. A deer went through it, like I swerved.
And was Santa riding his back?
No, man. It was more like a pond more than like a lake. But
now it's a pond. Okay. This story got a bunch of holes.
So listen, my car's like filling up, and literally I jumped out of my car. I saved my Cutco. Crazy story, okay? Yeah. The point of my story is I had negative $132 in my bank account when I opened up my business. So I want to talk about burning the bridges. And I was really inspired by a Batman thing, and I'll kind of go over to that in a second. But I had negative $132 in my bank account, and I had to hire 5 people. It's either 4 or 5 people. I think it was 5 because it was including my receptionist. And I remember going to Coinstar, putting like all my money into like this Coinstar, right? And I had like $23 or $24. And I bought this pizza. And we called it a silver cup pizza. And I invited everybody to my house, and they had no idea that I was broke. I'm talking about dead broke. I had just paid my money for my rent, for my office, I had to pay the deposit, I had to buy a new car, all these different things. And negative $132, and I had 1 week. And I burned every bridge. I mean, I'm talking about like I went in there full throttle, like there was no chance to fail. I didn't care, right? And what was cool was we ended up being the #1 office in the nation. And to start off, with negative $132 in my bank account, and for us to be able to accomplish that, right? And using my money that I got, like I used with coins to get pizza, to have a party was super cool. It taught me that, you know, I think, let's go back to the Batman story. I told y'all this story before, right? So for anybody who ever watched Dark Knight Rises, so there's a scene, and this scene is, so Batman's in this like jail, but it's really fucked up because like on top of the jail, like there's like a hole, right? So you can like get out. And he's lost his why, he's lost his whole purpose, and he's in there, and you know, there's like this TV, and it's like showing his like city, right? Like all messed up. And so all of these people have tried to escape, you know, this jail, but they always fail. So they have like this rope, and he's like climbing like up like the rocks to try to escape. And every time he jumps while the rope is on, what happens? He falls. So he goes back down, and as he goes back down, on the TV you see Bane, right? And Bane's like, I'm going to destroy like your city, right? And he's like freaking out. So he starts doing like crunches, progress, right? Started getting some progress, started working out, started figuring out who he was. So he tells this guy, who's pretty much like the godfather of the jail, he goes, Brandon, this time I'm going to use no rope. No rope. And he's like, dude, are you fucking crazy? Like, you're going to die. Nobody has ever survived doing this without any rope. And he's like, no rope. So he's climbing up, and there's like this scene where he gets on top of like the rocks, and there's like a place where he has to jump. And he closes his eyes, and it's a really cool scene because when he closes his eyes, all the bats come out. And at that moment, he remembers who the fuck he is.
Right.
And he's like, I'm Batman. He figures out this purpose, this thing that's so much bigger than himself. And he takes this leap of faith, and he just fucking jumps. And long story short, he gets out of jail. And I talk about burning the bridges because you gotta have that type of attitude with your life and in business. And this is the last thing I'll say about this. I had this guy named Lucas Farnazari. And Lucas is from Portugal, okay, and he speaks very bad English. And I was super judgmental to him. So he comes into my office and he's like, "Oi, I'm gonna win a scholarship." And I'm like, "Dude, there's no way you're gonna win a scholarship. It's the top 50 people in the whole company who win a scholarship." And I just prejudged him. I was like, "There's no way." He goes, "No, man, like, I don't think you understand. I'm gonna kick everybody's ass." And he's working at Chick-fil-A. And I thought about the movie and I thought about burning your bridges. And I was like, the only way you're going to win a scholarship is if you quit that other job and you give us 100%. And he quit, his position, and he went out and sold $6,000 the next week and made over, $1,000. And it changed his life forever. Because it was the first time, you got to imagine when you burn the bridges, how many people are going to say you're crazy?
He removed the safety net.
He removed the safety net. He said, could you imagine his mom saying like, "Hey, listen, you're working at a place that's paying you $10 an hour. Why would you give that up? Why would you give that up?"
There's so many people that have such a similar story.
Burning the boats.
Yeah, burning the boats. So many people that have such similar stories because like that scene alone was such an analogy to life.
Yeah.
Like you're in this cage, this locked up cage, this protection pretty much. Granted, it's not the best situation, but you still got somewhere to sleep, lay your head at. That's protection, but you don't want to be there. You know you have more inside of you, and you see the opening, you see the light.
Isn't that crazy? You always see it, right?
You see it, and it's beautiful how the jail is made. Like you can go ahead and escape if you want to, but it's going to cost you. You got to be willing to put down your life for whatever you're trying to do. And like you said, the man had to quit his job. Forget everybody else. If this is what you really want to do,
if that ain't the road to success, what is?
You have to put forth 110%, and you cannot be afraid.
Yeah. For those of our entrepreneurs out there, you'd have to be youthful. If you haven't heard the burning the boat story, it's whenever you are invading another land and you pull up there on your ships and you burn.
The Vikings, right?
Right, exactly. We're going to die here or we're going to conquer. There is no going home. There is no way back.
Leonidas and the Trojan army.
Right.
Same thing with them. They was like, bro, I'm not about to surrender to you.
No,
You're going to have to kill me.
You're going to have to kill us.
My honor is too great.
So
right.
I've been working out, so I'm going to be able to like kind of hold y'all two off. I want to go over a subject that's really important to me. Like with all jokes aside, guys, is network versus net worth. This is probably for me the most important thing in business or in really like life. But I'm going to go ahead and let you kind of go first. And
you have the best story for this, though. Why don't you lead us off?
Yeah, well, okay. And it's not so much a story, it's just like my beliefs on it. First and foremost, let's say this. You have to be very picky. We were talking about this earlier. You have to be very, very picky of who you spend time with. I am so selfish with my time. Because
it's the most valuable thing.
It's the most valuable thing. If you're not adding value to my life, and I'm not able to add value to your life, I don't see a point. Especially as you get older. I spend a lot of my time connecting with people and gaining a network. But the thing is, you don't get paid to do that. You don't get paid to go to, I sent you an invite the other day for like Eventbrite.
Right.
Like that was a free event, right? I wasn't getting paid to go there.
Right.
But you never know who you're going to meet at those moments when you're always putting yourself in a position to meet successful people. I am fascinated by that. I learned something a long time ago. If you take your 5 closest people that you spend the most time with, and you take their income and you divide it by 5, that's typically your income. And it's the law of attraction. If you hang around with negative people, you're probably going to be negative. If you hang around with people that are positive, you're probably going to be positive.
I agree. Like we were just talking about how women, when they're together, they cycle end up sinking together.
Yeah,
right.
It's the same exact thing. Like I'm looking at it from a metaphysical level. Like energy is real. So if you're around people that have this type of energy, then that's what you're going to eventually dwell into your life.
Exactly.
Like the saying, birds of a feather flock together is a real statement. Because whatever they have going on, that can definitely come into your life. because you're always around them.
And in business, that's referrals.
Yes.
That's referrals. That's what you do in business. You're a personal recruit. I made a living off of that. I still make a living off of that. You know, like with our property management company, we sell them, you know, you influence the influencer, right? You get your big fish, or what you would ever call it. We call it like the whale. And then you get referrals from them, right? And you know if that person's a big fish, who are they going to hang out with? Big fish.
Exactly. And then if you're hanging around in a business mindset, if you're always buddies with this one guy, may be successful, may have a poor rapport with people. And they know that, okay, you cool with him, so maybe y'all two doing the same type of stuff. So I can't do.
You are who you hang with.
I can't do business with you because I know about this person. I know the bad that he's done.
And he gives you a bad stink.
And it's like, and it's just in people's mind, they're like, well, if you with him and you always with him, then I'm pretty sure he's telling you something, and you probably doing the same thing.
I'm gonna take, for instance, us three guys. Look, me and Brandon are related, but we went years without seeing each other. Also, years. And then one day you came over for like church at my mom's house. Right? And we sat outside and we talked for like, what was it, 3 hours one day, and we just reconnected our friendship. All right? We were family, but we had a friendship before he moved to Texas. And then when he came down, all it took was us being around each other for one afternoon, and we was like, man, we need to get together more.
Right.
And then every Sunday that he went to church and went to eat by my mom's house, we reconnected. And that eventually led to us three being here. You know, we're all very similar-minded people. We all had our own journey, our own path and everything like that, but it all led us to damn near the same place in a way. We're here together, and we're here to all do the same thing in effect.
You know, I think that the number one, as you're growing, sometimes people don't grow with you.
Very true. I want to get on that.
And it's important for you to not feel guilty of that. You know, like let's say
you always touch on that.
That's so important. It's not, you can't feel guilty. You can empower them. You were talking about empowering people, or your old boss was empowering people. And that's how you really learned your first leader as a mentor, besides your father, right? So it's important to help people that want to be helped, right? Because people that don't want to be helped, you know, like it's not worth your time. I think about women. You know, and, you know, me and you are both single, right? You're not single? Oh, shit. My bad. Sorry. No. So, anyway, look. No, he's not single. Anybody watching this, he's not.
I'm not single.
So, anyway, I think about...
Where did you get that from, man? What's wrong with you?
My bad.
He must be in trouble right now. Yeah, he's like, hold up, wait up, baby. Hey, let me...
To make this...
Look, I am in trouble. I'm sorry. You just move forward.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, especially too with like with women as like you get older too, like your interests change. We were one of our topics that we're going to consider was like the characteristics of a queen, and we'll talk about that on another episode. But it's very important, even with women, that like if they don't have like the right interest for you, to just kind of like move on from them. If they're not helping you, if they're not like that partner, if they're not empowering you, and another thing, if they're not raving fans, right?
Right.
That's so important.
So like when you're 18, your dream woman is the dumb blonde that's sexy as fuck. All right, but when you're like 30, you want that girl. She's like got a career. She has her own car. She's learned how to pay her own bills. She's self-sufficient, and then she can add to whatever you are. You know, but if you're still looking for that dumb blonde, you're probably a dumb fuck. You know what I'm saying? You're probably still in high school. I'm going to touch on this. I know you want to add in, Brandon. You can jump in right quick.
I got Brandon.
What are you talking about? We're somewhere else, man.
He's going to get a call after this one, man. So, look, I had plenty of friends, all right? So, when I was in high school, I did all the typical high school things. Smoke weed, drink alcohol, hang out on the block, get nothing done, just party life,
Did you attract those people?
Yeah. YOLO, that's who I hung out with, and that's who I was, all right? But the one thing that saved me was my dad had a family business, and I always worked. Now, I always would find time to hang out, but I was always working. Mm-hmm. They weren't. So I already had that work ethic beaten into me because my dad was like, this is how life goes, son. Even though I had that party life too, I still, no matter what, I did work every day.
Right.
So eventually, once I start figuring out, I done partied, every day for the last 3 years. I'm 18 now. I started partying when I was probably about 15 years old, probably pretty much illegally. We used to get in the clubs and stuff. We knew people, stuff like that. So I'm 18 now. I've been partying every day for 3 years. It just don't have the same feeling anymore. Eventually, it gets old. You're like, what am I doing? And so I got more and more involved in my work, more and more involved in my what I wanted to be, my dreams, who I see myself as. I see myself as a leader, a business owner. And I wanted that to happen, so I worked my fucking ass off to eventually become that, because after you're under someone's thumb for so long, it's miserable. You know, I used to, like, damn near cry sometimes. Didn't I tell you to turn your phone off, man?
It is hard, man. You'll be alright.
That's his look. He has to eat, man.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta have my alarm on.
I used to damn near cry, though, sometimes on the way home after a rough day at work. You know, I would be emotional in the car. You know, I'm stuck in traffic. I used to have to catch the ferry, which is, Brandon knows, you know, you miss that ferry. Sometimes you're over there, especially if there's traffic, you know, 1, 2, could be 3 hours sometimes, waiting on the ferry to come. Your life, your time is passing you by. And I'm in the car, I'm emotional, and I'm like, you know what? I gotta get out of this rat race. I gotta get out of this somehow. But my friends, they're still living the high school life. They're 20, 25, 30 now. They're still hanging on the block. Their life is a party every day, but they have nothing. They own nothing. They have no clout.
No kingdom.
Right. They have no kingdom. They have no empire, and they're not even trying to build one. They're still living off their parents' empire who's going to die one day, and if they keep doing the same thing they're doing, they're going to lose that too. Not only didn't you build one, but when your parents have to give you yours, if you don't have siblings that are better off, that are smarter than you, you're going to lose that too eventually, because you don't know how to build an empire, which means you don't know how to maintain one.
So I definitely think, like, just bringing it back to the network versus net worth. Definitely feel like network is so much more important.
Yeah.
Because if you network properly, then your net worth is going to come. Because they're going to feed you stuff that money can't buy, money can't give.
Take, for instance, 50 Cent. When's the last time but through the people and the connections he's made, he's been able to stay at the top of his game. He's still one of the most influential rappers, whether you want to give him credit for his music or not.
I recommend, if you're going to read a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Very good book, yes.
One of the most...
Robert Kiyosaki.
It's one of the most basic books for this concept. I want to ask another question real quick. Brandon, this question's for you, my man. When's the last time you did something for the first time?
Doing it right now, man. Literally, I'm on a very strict diet. Like, working out has always been easy to me. Like, you talked yesterday, and you were saying, like, you need a person or somebody there to motivate you, help you go that much harder. Yeah. From working out so much and then going by myself, I found that internal voice for me. And then, so working out pretty much became easy to me. It's fun. I love to do it. So it wasn't that great of a challenge. But I wanted to bring it to a whole nother level. I wanted to challenge myself nutrition-wise. So I'm on this extreme strict diet, and it is literally the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, you don't realize how much things that you really love to do, like you like to eat, like to put into your body, when you eliminate them from out your life. Like, every Sour Patches smell good. Everything smells good, man. But it's definitely a challenge.
Talk about addictions. He's over here junkie with some. I need a Sour Patch.
I need a Sour Patch. I need something, you know. I normally drink Red Bulls in the morning. I just really like the flavor of it and the carbonation of it. Like, I like it, but like I said, it's the hardest thing I've done. But I knew I needed to challenge myself even more. Like, okay, so I'm working out. I got that down pat. Cool. So now, what's next? Like we was talking about with the guy who was talking to you. Okay, you do this, so now what's next? So I'm like, okay, what's next? How can I bring this working out to another level? So now let me just add a strict nutrition plan to it.
I think you're rare. And by the way, the reason why I think you're rare is because everybody thinks I'm crazy. I do a lot of the same things you do, by the way. There's always like these personal challenges that have nothing to do with like business, have nothing to do with like anything external, but like ourselves that like we do. Like when I was going to go do some medicine, in order for me to do this medicine, like there was no seasoning, like there was no Tony Sashers, there was nothing. Everything was so strict, but it was a challenge for me. I think that if the world challenged themselves personally, like you do, instead of as something mediocrity, I think the world will be a better place, man. I really do.
It'll be so much of a better place because we fail to realize how powerful we really are as just people. Like the things that we can actually overcome. Like people, you can quit cold turkey.
Yeah.
If you put your mind, it's going to be hard. But if whatever you want to, that addicted that we're talking about, if you want to quit it, you can quit it.
It's
If
definitely.
it's easy, it ain't worth it, bro.
Exactly, it was easy. It's not worth it because now you're going to feel so much better. Because most of the time, people like this to kind of go back to addictives. People do these things because when they take this addictive, it makes them move in a whole different way. Like you were saying, like you smoke the cigarettes, pace up and down, you get your best thoughts. I used to smoke marijuana heavily, and I didn't smoke it just to get high. I smoked it because of where it put me mentally. Then as I was smoking it so much, I was like, I challenged myself like, hey, maybe let's see if I can do this without the marijuana. Because if I'm doing it with the marijuana, clearly I can do it.
It's a personal challenge. That's the same reason why I quit Adderall. That's really cool. So go ahead.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
I was I did one of the scariest things ever in October, I believe. I had like when I left Cutco, I started having these like feelings or like urges to just really get uncomfortable. From like ziplining to just like pretty much anything. I wanted to dive with sharks, you know, like all this like crazy shit that I was afraid of, I really wanted to do. I decided to like, I was gonna bring my crazy ass skydiving. So I want to talk to you about the process of that. So I was with this young lady, her name is Sadie. And I've been knowing Sadie since I was like 5 years old. And I did it for a birthday gift for her. And it was something that I would never, ever even consider doing.
Right.
So, long story short, you have like this feeling in your stomach where you're like super nervous, super exciting. Then you get into like this little like small ass plane. That's literally the size of like this damn like sofa. Okay,
Right,
I mean
right.
it is like you're sitting on people's. I had to sit on a dude's lap. Okay, and we go 10,000 feet in the air, and as we go 10,000 feet in the air, this dude opens up the damn door. And you really realize that you're 10,000 feet in the air. And you're just looking down and you're like, there is no way I'm gonna like jump this shit. There is just no way I'm gonna do it. And I had this like loss of breath, like this nervousness of like, I'm gonna die. And I'll never forget the stages. He was like, 3, 2, and you know, you think he's gonna go at 1, but he fucking kicks me, right? And I jump down, I jump out, he's behind me, and I'm yelling at the top of my lungs, oh shit! And then like 5 seconds into it, I'm like, oh, this is cool. And I finally put my hands in the air, right? And I'm like, dude, this is the most badass experience ever. And I'm just looking at the world, and I'm such a sublime part of nature. And I'm like, this is so worth it. And nothing great happens inside your comfort zone. Nothing great happens inside your comfort zone. And I was just like, look at this beauty. Look at the world. Look how still it is. Look how peaceful it is. Right? Because sometimes when you're down there, everything's so noisy. Right. But when you look at something from a 30,000 foot view, whether it's like your life or you just jumped off the damn, plane, it was such a cool experience. And it was one of those things where like, I don't know if I could beat it. I would have to go to the moon. Really? I just jumped off a damn plane. Like, how can I beat that? Right. So, anyway, such a cool experience. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you very much. When you're closest to death, it's when the nectar is more sweeter. Everything in life, it means more. One of my favorite things to do when I was courting women was to take them drifting. I'm a great drifter. I've been doing it since I seen Tokyo Drift. I watched Tokyo Drift and I went out and I just did it one time.
That's awesome.
And then from that point I've been getting better. But one thing I used to do when I was courting women was take them drifting and have them screaming in the car, and I rip it back and forth. And it excites you, it gets your blood pumping, it changes your outlook on life. All these different experiences. Now, if you want to talk about, we were talking about when's the last time you've done something different. I try to do something different all the time. My father was a guy who traveled the world. He learned a bunch of languages. He did a bunch of different things, and that's sort of like what he instilled on me. The first thing he did it with was food. Most kids, they're picky food eaters. Like, oh, I don't eat that. I like chicken nuggets or whatever. My dad was like, the way his system is he would cook something new, and I would say, that's nasty, and he would say, fine, don't eat it. And he would just leave it there. And eventually I got hungry, and I came back and I ate it. And you know what? Most of the time it was pretty damn good. So that's how he broke. Yeah, that beef stew. Brandon remembers my dad's cooking. So
that beef stew was so good.
So so that's how he broke me from wanting to try new things. Now, damn near every business, I probably started, I want to say somewhere between 5 and 7 businesses in my life. Every business I've ever started, I've always had naysayers. It's not going to work. This is why it's not going to work. There's too much competition. There's too much of that. Some of them didn't work. Some of them did. But I never worried about any of that bullshit. I go into it with a mindset, if anyone can do it, it's me. It's me. You know, I like to try new things. Making new experiences is what life is all about. We don't idolize people like Marco Polo or these great explorers. We don't remember the names like Magellan and Christopher Columbus for no reason. You know, it's because that they did what was undone. You know, things that had never been done before. You know, whether it was circumnavigating the world or being a white man in China and traveling along the Silk Road. You know, so
to bring that back, I think that's a really good follow-up question to this. Why do you think it's important to just live outside your comfort zone?
Because, man, outside your comfort zone is where the better you exist at.
It's where the action is, too.
Outside your comfort zone is where the better you exist at. Like, I was listening to this poem, and this guy named Brooke Young. The poem was called I Am a Queen. He pretty much compared life to a game of chess. And he was like, for one, think so far outside your box, you realize that there was never a box to begin with.
Wow.
Because there is no box, there is no boundaries. Your mind is infinite. If we only use 10% of it,
you are your own boundary in effect.
You are your own boundary.
If you believe any other way than what you just said, you're your own. You're the one who's keeping yourself.
You are your own boundary, and all of these new experiences that are outside your comfort zone can definitely aid to whatever your main focus is in life. Like, you have these different experiences, you can become that better entrepreneur. You could become that better CEO. You become that better personal reference. You can get those referrals.
You just said it all. You're your own. You're in your own bondage. The only one that is keeping you bound is yourself. The only one that's limiting you is you.
You know, we talked about, you know, I guess like maybe 2 weeks ago, Brandon, when I was listening to the David Goggins, maybe 3 weeks ago, David Goggins / Joe Rogan podcast, he said something that really hit home to me. And it kind of banged on what you were saying, or what I was saying to you earlier was, I love how you personally challenge yourself outside of like your profession. So I did something that I've never done before. I took this piece of loose leaf and I wrote on the top things I don't want to do. And it wasn't a to-do list, it was the things I don't want to do.
If you haven't done that, that just sounds like it's an amazing thing just to write.
And look, I mean, the fact is like, I was brutally honest with myself. You can't do this fucking exercise and lie.
Right.
So I write it on the top, things I don't want to do, and I put like 1 through 10. And I'm like, what have I been procrastinating on? What are some like, maybe even some relationships that I need to heal? That like, I'm afraid to like talk to that person about. I'm talking about, I went deep, dude. And I did probably like 5 or 6 of them, and I still have like 4 more to go. But one of them was like, hey, I asked this girl out. And it was a girl that I've been wanting to ask out for a long time, and I was just like, it never kind of got to it, and I was just like, man, fuck it, maybe I should do that. And, you know, like whether she says no, whether she says yes, it doesn't matter, but I'm just going to ask her out. Right. It was under my things to not, like, that I don't want to do. You know, a part of that was, you know, something in like my business. Part of that was like saying sorry to somebody. And everything that I wrote down made me super uncomfortable. Like, I'm talking about, like, pretend this is my phone. I'm sending a text, and I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm like a kid, right? I'm, like, reading the text, like, 25 times. I'm like, looking at the word send. I'm like, nope, nope. And I'm like, you ever watch that movie, We Bought a Zoo? It's with Matt Damon, okay? And he has this thing in this movie, and it's so cool. And he talks about how he found his wife. And how how he's always lived his life because his brother told him one thing: 20 seconds of courage. Anytime you feel like that, it's just 20 seconds of courage.
To make the right decision.
Yeah, and I fucking get nervous, right? I'm looking at my phone, and I'm like, am I really about to ask this girl out? I haven't talked to this girl in a long time. Holy shit, I'm just, don't click send, don't click send, don't click send. Send. And then I'm like a kid with it. I hide my phone. I'm like, oh fuck, she's about to text me back.
Text back. Oh gosh, don't open it now.
You know, I hide my phone, but I was like super uncomfortable with it. You know what I mean? And anyway, so I recommend that to anybody, man. This feels so good to just do the things you don't want to do. So
I agree with that.
Sometimes you really just gotta say fuck it and go for it.
I agree with that. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take in life.
You do not take, man. It's so real. Then like anything dealing with physicality, bro, your body will lie to you.
Oh yeah.
Like I challenged myself to the Tough Mudder like 2 years ago for the first time, and the name is in the race. It's definitely a tough race. It's not an easy race, and your body will lie to you. And I got that from David Goggins.
Right.
When he ran that, because this was David Goggins. If you're not familiar with him, he's this ex-Marine, right?
Right.
Ex-Marine, and what he did was he said he wanted to challenge himself. He said he looked up the top 5 hardest races in the world.
Right.
And there was one that he had to run like 100 and something miles.
Yeah, this start off one, he don't have no running experience. He's going to run 100 miles in 24 hours.
24 hours. And the man who was over it, I would just listen to this interview today. The man who was over it pretty much said, bro, you have no running experience. You never competed in this type of stuff before. So this is what I'm going to do for you. If you run this race that's coming up, it was something that was pretty much similar.
I'm going to put you in the next one or something.
I'm going to put you in the next one.
Yeah.
So he did it. And he said, man, my body shut down on me. He's like, my body shut down. And he said, then I realized, like, when I clicked into my mind who I was.
It stopped on him at 70 miles or something like that. And he's like, he's got crap running down his leg and
crap that around, peeing blood.
Yeah.
I love that story, yeah.
And like you said, he's like, and after that story, he pretty much said, man, when you think you're done, you still have 40% left in you. Your body will lie to you. Your mind will lie to you.
Yeah,
your heart will even lie to you.
Yep. He gets up and he runs the extra 30 and then adds an extra one on there just to say, fuck it. Fuck you, I conquered you.
Exactly. And the thing with these new experiences, one thing we got to put into mind that, for one, we are naturally animals and we have this fight or flight instincts.
Yeah.
So that's why when you feel that uneasiness when you're around certain things, it's that survival instincts. That's you telling your body saying, we don't belong here. We don't need to be doing this. But your body is protecting you.
Right.
But your body is not saying that I don't have any more in me. It's just I'm just protecting myself because this is unfamiliar territory.
Our brain specifically protects us from fear. If you think about it, I mean, back in the day, obviously, like I said earlier, we're super primal. So when you think about when we were young, man, like as a society or as a civilization, there was real threats. There was tigers, right? There was lions. There was whatever you believe in. I mean, like, there was real threats, and we had to come together, and our brain was like, fear. Listen, that person's going to, that animal's going to eat me or whatever, or attack.
Right.
Now we're scared of the phones.
Yes.
Now we're scared of, like, pretty much anything that brain says, hey, like, you shouldn't do this, and then all of a sudden our body tightens up, and we're like, I don't know if we should do that. We haven't, like, as society, if we had more people just like that said, you know what, that's just a thought. That's just like my primal brain saying, maybe I shouldn't do this, but like once again, life starts outside the comfort zone.
It does.
Let me add something here. There is no traffic on the extra mile.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it. When you go extra, when you go far out, there's no one going to be there with you. You're going to be there alone.
I agree.
You got to remember that. And you got to do more than expected in life if you're ever going to achieve greatness.
Agreed, man. Like one story I was listening to, I can't remember who it was, but they was about to play against Los Angeles Lakers, and they were thinking it was this guard. I can't remember who it was, but he walked in the gym and he seen Kobe was already in the gym shooting.
Oh yeah, there you go.
He already seen Kobe in the gym shooting, practicing, warming up for the game. The game is that night. He's in the gym warming up. And so he goes in, he's like, oh, well, Kobe and that is warming up. I'm about to show him that I can work out longer than him. Like, I can warm up with him too. So he's on the other end of the court, warming up, getting ready for the game. And he looks down, he's like, man, Kobe is still going. It's like 2-3 hours in and Kobe is still going. So then the guy eventually just leaves, like, I'm done. And I think he talked to Kobe Bryant after the game. He said, man, Kobe, I seen you in the gym, man. What you was in there for so long for? He's like, because I saw you. So I saw you in there and I was going to let you know that you can't fuck with me. You're not going to outwork me. I'm going to go that extra mile. I'm going to beat you. And Kobe Bryant, they won that game that night.
If you only knew what it took to win, to be a champion, to be the best, man, that's fucking powerful. Dude.
It's the dog. The dog that will win the fight is the one that's most willing to die. It's same with any fight. If me and you if we get in a physical altercation right now, whoever's willing to die the most is going to win. If I'm willing to sacrifice my life more than you are, I'm going to beat you.
We talked about that a little bit earlier with Mike Tyson. Like, he had this, like, journey to be the best boxer in the whole world by the time he was 20, and he accomplished that. But he had so much to fight for.
Yes.
And he doesn't have that dog in him now, but it's hard to beat somebody with that dog in him.
It is.
I want to bring this to a little different type of I guess, question. We'll try to keep it PG-13 at the best. I'll have to watch him. But anyway, I want to know, this is a funny topic for me. What is your favorite drunk story? Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to lead this one off, or Brandon? You look like you was gonna.
You set the tone so we know where to go.
Yeah.
You want me to set the tone? We know how to get dark. I'm gonna try to keep it light.
Pick one of the good ones, man.
Yeah.
You want a good story? I was gonna get like a, where I lost there, couldn't remember anything, All right, I got one.
Give us one.
I got a good one. All right, so I'm like 16 years old. My friend sneaked me in a club, and everybody's dancing. I'm drinking. We're having good times. My friends are buying me drinks to pass it to me. When you're in the club, it's hard to see and all that stuff there. And there's a girl. She like grabs a chair from somewhere in the club, sticks it in the middle of the dance floor, stands on top of it, and starts dancing. So immediately I notice her. I'm like, what's going on here? She's beautiful, body's nice, she's dancing good. I'm like, I gotta get that girl's number. So I like dance up to her, and I'm like, hey, what's your name? And she just does like this. Right? Didn't even talk to me. She just gave me the no sign. I'm like, damn, that kind of hurt, right? So, like a week before, I had tried to buy weed. It was a sketchy situation. A guy was like, I can get it for you, and I gave him the money, and then he took it, and I never seen him again. You could tell I was a rookie at buying weed at this time right here. He's just like, yeah, I get it for you, and just left. Never seen the guy again. Well, he's in the club that night. So I'm like, hey, you owe me $10, and I want my $10 right now. He's like, man, I'm going to get you your $10. I'm going to go borrow from my cousin. I'm going to bring it right back to you. You see, I'm still a rookie, right? I'm falling for this bullshit. So anyway, I go outside to talk to my cousin. And she leaves, and I'm still outside drinking or smoking or something like that. And she comes back, and she's like, hey, that guy that you was having that altercation with, he is in there telling everybody he's going to beat you up if you bring up that money again. So she's like, this is my friend's party, so don't fight. Just wait till the party's over, and then if you're going to fight, then you do it then. So I'm really drunk by this time of the night, right? And then all of my friends, they're bucking me up. They're like, Dad, look, you keep walking in front of us, bro. You going to do something? So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I got to do something. So I go over there, I start wailing on the guy, and he's a pretty strong guy, and he like pushes me into a moving car, but when I hit the car, it like gave me momentum. And I come and I land on top of him, and I'm just, full gorilla style, left and right. You got that big open arm. You're like, what a crash hit, I have a friend come lift me up off the guy. He's like, all right, the guy's had enough. All right, that's enough. So I start walking to my car, very calm and slowly. I'm like James Bond. I kind of feel good. I just conquered a man. My ego's at, peak ego. And I'm walking to my car, and then there's a girl between two cars. She says, hey, Red, come over here. I'm like, who is that? She's like, you still want my number? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I still want your number. And I was like, what made you change your mind? She was like, well, you just beat that guy up, so I like you. That was that, So, and I wind up sealing the deal with her a few days later, and we're still kind of friends, but, I moved on. She wasn't up to my level. She was a party girl, and I was a party guy at that time, but I grew into, eventually, a business guy.
Anytime somebody says, hey, Red, hey, Black, you definitely know you're in Louisiana. No names. Hey, Black Shoes, what's up? What you doing? Hey, Dreads. But I'll go with my story now.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to have to come up with something big. I'm going to have to end it.
This was a wild night, man. Me and my boy Ben, my boy BJ, me, him, and Joe, one of my friends, Joe. We had went out in New Orleans. This was when I first made it back to New Orleans, and we was pretty much going out on a regular. And man, we had a wild night. We ended up meeting up with some friends of mine that I knew from Galveston, and linking up with them. And it was an eventful night. So we get out there, and we pretty much had our pickings of who we wanted, and it pretty much went down. But one of my partners, Joe. Oh my boy, he was so scared. He was nervous. He didn't want to do them. Like, bro, they want you. What's up, man? Come on, man, play. You in here? You got it. My boy B got some. I got you. Got yours. So we in a hotel room, and he was full of. He was feeling well. So he ended up leaving out of the hotel, and we didn't know what he was going. Like, okay, he must be going to do something. He'll call us. So we ended up staying there that night, and we woke up the next morning trying to find him nowhere in sight. Not answering the phone, we don't know where the hell Joe went. Then on top of that, I forgot where I parked my car. So me and V are walking around New Orleans, down to New Orleans for 2 hours. We woke up at like 5, eventually found the car at 7. Then found out that Joe walked his stupid ass all the way from New Orleans, all the way to the rallies right there in the Ninth Ward.
Wow.
He's like, dude, why the hell you left? Not only could we find the car, then we couldn't find you.
Damn.
You know, and I say it was so much liquor and so much stuff going around that night. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, once at Mardi Gras, I left and then I came back and I parked in I remember the first spot I parked, but not the second, man. I looked for like 5. I finally found my car, but all right, you go ahead. You got a story for us?
Okay, so this isn't my favorite drunk story, okay? But I'll tell you a story. So I went through this little European trip where it was like through Prague, it was through Amsterdam, it was through Paris, like I did a little bit of everything. I'm in Amsterdam, what happens in Amsterdam stays in Amsterdam, right? So we had a blast. Long story short, I lost my passport, okay? I lost my fucking passport, and I'm with a few people, and they take the plane, but I couldn't take the plane from Amsterdam to Prague because I didn't have my passport, so I had to take a train. So I take this train, the train gets to like this train station at like 2 a.m. Long story short, the train station closes, okay? So as it closes, there's this guy, these two like people from probably Syria, is that what it's called? Syria. These two guys from like Syria come up to me and they're like, hey, do you have any cigarettes? And I'm like, no, I don't have any cigarettes, my man. He was like, do you have any money? And I'm from New Orleans, I knew what was up. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm about to get robbed.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the train station closed and I go up to the people and I'm like, dude, listen, these two people are about to rob me, man, can you help me? And there's this big ass police officer and they got these big ass guns with them. I'm like, these people are about to rob me, help me, listen. The problem is I went from having euros to coins. And it was too late for me to transition my money. So although I had money, I didn't have anything. And he goes, no, train station closed, go outside. And I'm like, dude, listen, I don't think you fucking understand. If I'm gonna go outside, I'm gonna get robbed. He goes, good luck.
Wow.
And I'm like, you're gonna take me to a fucking hotel. Like, you're gonna take me somewhere because these dudes are gonna kill me. I don't think you understand, I'm American. Right? And so I go outside and there's like this train station, like I said, and it's like but there's like this cemented like wall. Or whatever, like a tunnel, right? So I go into like this tunnel, and my philosophy was if they came down, I could see their shadows. Well, in that country specifically, I'm in Germany, I'm in a place called Decin, D-E-C-I-N. There was no guns allowed. Only like if you're like law enforcement can you have guns, so I knew they had knives. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I have all my luggage with me, right? And we had a long, long night, right? Like it's been crazy. And these two people start coming down. One comes from this side, one comes from the other side, right? And they fucking like ambush me. And as they're like ambushing me, I'm like, I used to play running back, right? I know I'm short, but I'm kind of fast.
Boy, that's a little quick feet on it.
Yeah.
So they flanked you. Okay.
So I fucking jet, bro. And I have Sperry's on, like little white boy shoes. I'm sprinting as fast as I can. These people start chasing me, man. Like just chasing me all the way up the stairs. They steal everything I own. It's snowing. I'm talking about 3-4 feet of snow, right? I have, like, remember, I wasn't dressed for that, so I had shorts on and like one sweatshirt, no socks in my Sperry's, and I'm on a railroad, right? They stole my checkbook, they stole every suit that I had, everything that I owned. I'm on like a 3-week trip, right? So I go up and I have to sleep in the snow at the railroad. And I'm sleeping in the snow, and there's this fucking owl like right above me, right? I'm like literally sleeping in the snow, and then there's like a train that comes by, and I'm like, hey dude, can like y'all take me to Prague? And he says yes, like way too easily. He's like, yeah, I'll take you. And I was like, fuck that. Like I've already seen like Taken. I'm like, I'm good, brother. So now I have to hide from him.
American good kidney, you know, it's good for the liver and the lung.
So I fucking like hide from him, and then finally the train station opens up. I'm talking about like I am sick, like I have the flu. I just slept in the snow with shorts on, okay? So I take this train all the way to Prague. I have somebody pick me up. I have to go to the U.S. Embassy, get like a new like passport. I have to get steroid shots, which by the way, health insurance is free out there, and that because I didn't have to pay for a thing. I literally showed up. How crazy is that? I showed up and they were like, "What do you need?"
What will this crazy American need?
And I was used to it. I was like, I need a steroid shot. I need an IV. hooked me up, right? They hooked me up. Yeah,
and give him a shot of vodka because that's vodka is very important in my country.
Yeah, man. So I got robbed, and that was the craziest night. It started off like a very, what happens in Amsterdam stays in Amsterdam type of night. But yeah, that's kind of how it ended up.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. I'd have been like, no, I don't have any money.
But yeah, so like, I mean, they knew I'm like this little white guy. They're like, I take advantage of you.
Yeah. Top American, how you gonna come here and tell us how to run our country?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. This is the Justin Gibbons Show, and I am your Russian co-host or host or whatever it's going to be. Just drink plenty of vodka, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey, super excited. Listen, we obviously, I know Justin, you always talk about this, but we don't get paid to do this. We love being on here. We love adding value. We appreciate your love and support. Thank you for watching, and yeah, we're your biggest fans.
Yeah,
so.
if you think the content is valuable, you can pay us with a like, share, and just watching our video pretty much. Brandon, anything to add?
It's going to end up, man, you're getting 3 different perspectives from 3 different people in 3 different completely avenues right now in life, you know what I'm saying? So coming from different backgrounds, but we all just connected, similar minds, like minds, trying to give you good content. So definitely, please, always try to tune into us. Man, we doing this for you guys. We do this all the time with ourselves. It's like, why not share it? So we're doing it for you guys. So the best thing y'all can do for us is to like, to share, to repost, do whatever you gotta do. Just like, share, repost these videos so we can get our message out there, get our brand that we're trying to build out there, So
if you found valuable intel in this, then some of your friends will, and just don't be selfish,
And if not, if you have something that you want to comment on, definitely leave it in the comments, man, so we can get to it and we can try to address those things. Love.